Right? Oh my God.
I'm going to say it's one of us.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody else. My name is Shathar, and I am definitely an alcoholic. Oh, I don't want to speak. I want to hear the chip holders, man. I mean, anytime we have a chip day, I'm like, man, I want to hear what they got to say. My God, how'd they do that? I don't care if it's 6 months or 60 years. My sobriety day is November 25th of 2012. That particular year, I didn't pick it this way, was actually Thanksgiving. Don't know how that worked out. Because I had quit drinking 2 days prior to that. I wasn't coherent until the 25th. So for me, I just say, you know what, let's just pick that day. I don't know if I'm going to make it a few more. I have a sponsor who has a sponsor. I have the blessing and the honor of being a sponsor. Some amazing guys, various lengths of sobriety, and I get to live through them. You know, I tell you what, man, that 12-step, I've gone through some things in my life, and then sponsees would show up, and I've watched them walk through stuff that would make my things look like kindergarten. I'm just like, wow, I need to get out of my own way, like what was just said. Oh, a long-time listener, first-time caller. What I'd like to say is I do have a format. The only reason for that is I'm not going to read right off of it. I've seen a speaker do that, and it's okay. But I've been hitting the head a lot, for those of you who can hear that. I'm a former hand-to-hand instructor, too, so if I don't have a format, I'm going to start talking about how good coffee, PDG has all these snacks. I'm just going to completely miss the mark. But my story is not much different than many other people's, especially the stories in the back of the book, which I love and will read all the time, especially the one about the red-headed Indian. I'd read that probably 20 times, and one day it just hit me right in the face. I was like, wow, man, this guy, I can totally relate to that. But what I've learned is 95% is about the same, right? Maybe even 99. And then only that teeny tiny little bit that I kept looking for the differences, period. Before coming to Alcoholics Anonymous, I was too busy looking for the differences. There's that one little thing, nope, can't relate to you. And I'm a huge fan of the good book. And AA got me back to the good book, which got me back into AA. And the good book talks about the same thing. We're all 99% the same. So why worry about the 1%? Oh, God, I'm supposed to talk about what it was like, what happened, what it's like today. What I like to call my, hate to say career. The drinking career is basically the dumpster fire on the express train to Crazy Town. I mean, God, I still have, I know the amount of days I have sober, but I only focus on 24 hours. So when people say how long I've been sober, I pull out my silver chip. I used to carry, and I'm a retread, so I take no pride, nothing in any sobriety I have, because I have, my frequent relapse card's got so many holes in it. Man, there's so many chips in my closet, these colored chips. It's just, I came home one day for work, and I'll get to the story in a second. And this was when my kids were young. Well, my youngest was young. The rest of them were grown. And they were pretending to play cards in the living room. And I was still active duty military, so I hang up my stuff. First thing I do is drop the uniform. I've been in plenty and long enough to be like, get this off of me. And I go out there to, get some tea or something. And I look down, I was like, those chips look kind of familiar. Where'd y'all get those? Oh, they're in your closet. And I had to laugh because I was like, wow, that is a lot of chips. There's a lot of colors in there. But I got to look at that and laugh at myself. Thankfully today, only because that 24 hours. If I get too busy like the A-step, I'm going to bounce around a little bit only because it ties so much together at every point in the program. That A-step, when it talks about looking back and making that list and avoid modeling guilt, right? I got to stay out of that. But one way or another, I'm going to say my opinions are my own, and it's already been said, so I can either be used as a good example, bad lesson, or both. So if you hear something you don't like or doesn't jive with you, then just say, you know what, Shathar, he's a former infantry guy, and it's entertainment only. So, let's see. Wow. I was born, like most of us. One thing we learned years after, actually in my adulthood, one, I was a hung baby, and so what that means is, those you don't understand, is when the baby comes out with the umbilical cord kind of wrapped, well, not kind of, like a noose, and the baby's blue. They call them blue babies, hung babies, whatever. Years later in adulthood, they said, well, you probably had brain damage from that, and that kind of plays into my story. From my earliest memory, I always felt like I felt different. I did. The irony being that I learned years later, I was. Right? Not just physically, but then that deep-seated thing that I have, maybe you guys got too, it was there. In the 10th step talks about where was I dishonest, self-centered, or afraid? Those were my emotions in reverse, right? I was afraid of every damn thing. Why? Because I couldn't understand nothing, right? I could walk and chew gum. They had me see these doctors and everything. And they said, well, he can walk and chew gum. He's going to struggle in school, but he's not disabled. And back then, they didn't have the ADHD to the fifth power and all that stuff. They just said, look, we don't know what's wrong, but he can walk and chew gum. He obviously can watch TV. He'll have to work harder, but so be it. What do you want us to do? Okay, well, I learned that years later. But having that self-centered, dishonest, and afraid of every dang thing, right? One, because I am physically different. I was so awkward growing up. What was that movie? Anchorman, and the guy's like, I love lamp, I mean, I was better off, and I learned this way too late in life, to keep my mouth shut rather than people know I'm stupid, right? I mean, it was bad. People would crack jokes and whatever, and I'd catch it like a half second too late. I'm like, oh my God. So I was different. But then there's that fear. Self-centered, dishonest, afraid. Well, I'm afraid. Well, I'm going to lie about it because I don't want you to know I'm afraid, even though it's obvious I'm afraid. Self-centered, dishonest, afraid. I'm self-centered because, one, I had my earliest memory was that unusual, what the big book talks about, that peculiar twist that precedes the first drink. That was me. That's my default. And that was my default. But I didn't understand, right? And then the last part of it is self-centered, dishonest, afraid. Selfish being, well, I'm not going to expose myself to you because you're going to hurt me, right? And I say, oh, bless you. I say all this to say is just, you know what? We all have challenges growing up. I don't like to look in the rear view, I really don't. But if I just got more sense of just everyone's got challenges. It ain't just me. In adulthood, I'll do this crap, right? I've got a few 24, however long that is, right? I'll still do that because I belong in these rooms. No amount of psychologists, military, all that stuff really helped fix that peculiar mental twist, or at least what it talks about, that daily maintenance contingent on my spiritual condition. I have to keep working at it. So how did I learn to deal with that underlying condition that was already there? Well, I was not very good. I wasn't very witty, but I was super strong. And you couldn't knock me out, right? There it is, early on. So I was like, you know what? I can't fight my words. I can fight my fists. Okay. Well, you don't make a lot of friends that way, right? You get into a lot of trouble and really don't learn a lot of social skills. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, my parents being who they are, first off, I'm going to take my parents off the cross, right? My mom and my stepdad. I never knew my biological father. He got involved in organized crime, doing some stuff that, those kind of people do. My mother fled Germany with me. She tried to get my sister out, and she couldn't, right? I didn't know that until adulthood. So I judged her as a child as if I have a right to judge what her situation is. I don't even know Sopranos hadn't come out yet. I didn't know what she was going through. Oh, my God, it was so terrible. But anyway, but back then, well, one, they were both heavy drinkers, right? Stepdad, he did eventually die of cirrhosis of the liver, so I can not take in his inventory, but all those indicators were he was an alcoholic. My mother drank heavily, but when she divorced, just quit. And that's amazing because I'm like, man, it's amazing people can do that. But they were very, very, very heavy-handed. There are things that nowadays they say, you know what, that would have been child abuse today. Well, it was actually child abuse back then, too. But, yeah, and they were called one time, and I was like, boy, I don't want that to happen again. When they leave, this is going to suck. Yeah, my mom's going to kick me across the room, and she's done it before. But also, too, I'm not endorsing that behavior, but maybe they had some challenges with me growing up. I didn't feel like I could talk to them. I didn't have any one parent I could go to and say, hey, this is what's going on with me, right? Years later, and I'm talking like maybe a few years ago, so it's, 2024? My wife's watching Dr. Phil, and I don't sit and watch it, but, I'll walk by, and every now and then I hear something really good. Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah, I need to write that down. He says children who grow up in family households without any parent or no parent or one parent missing or both there but emotionally absent, they're no longer growing up, they're surviving. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, well, that explains a lot. Check. I didn't need to know that to get along with life because at this point you guys had come around me and helped me and really helped me get my act together. But it just made more sense that, okay, all right. But at the end of the day, pushing past all that, I take them off the cross. It is what it is, but I'm still alive today, right? They didn't kill me, so I couldn't do that back then. The identity issue, yeah. Never knew my biological father, no matter what anyone said. Well, boys identify who they should be with the male figure. They identify with the opposite sex parent of how they should act with the opposite sex. I had neither available, so put that on top of everything else, right? Now I hit my 20s, and I don't know how to do anything. But that's okay. I still kept trying to keep on keeping on. My parents did drink a lot, but I wanted nothing to do with it. It stank, right? There was one time you hear people talk about when they were young, oh, we used to take the head off the beer. Wow, that was really good. I did it one time. God, I hated that taste. It was the most disgusting, and it was ice cold, wasn't warm, just the most disgusting taste in my life. I never wanted to touch it, ever. And that's what's interesting. My stepfather did smoke a lot of weed. Now, he smoked weed, but you know what? He was a good provider. He was very strong. Nobody messed with us. And I was like, okay, you know what? There were some qualities of his that my mom says, yep, you did grow up a lot like him. Here's the good qualities. Okay. One time, I'm going to give you to the point of some people can hang it up. One time they went off to some Halloween party or something. They left me home by myself. Like, what do I do with my hands? I'm like, man, Ricky Bobby, right? Before he came out. I don't know what to do with my hands. I saw he always kept in this little slide thing in his office desk. I was like, he always seems happy after he does that. You go try that. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had a piece of notebook paper, and it was, oh my God, it was terrible. I'm like, there's these other paper. It was bad. It was bad. Anyway, so I did what I could, burn the shit out of my hand, right? Sorry, edit. I'm sorry. I'll try not to cuss too much. They came home. I'm just like trying to air the house out, and at first I felt great. Now I'm panicked, and I think it was funny there was no punishment, which was rare, and I think they just had a kick out of the fact the way I was. 2 years later, so I'm getting into my probably 10 or 11, 12, something like that. Back then, this was a lot like the military. I'm the only person in my family ever volunteered for the military. That freaked everybody out. Freaked me out. But back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, it was kind of like, hey, you get a promotion, they're going to move you, right? Okay, cool. So we moved a lot. We moved to, Tennessee or somewhere. I'm from Miami, Florida. I claim Miami, Florida because I grew up most of my years there. I tried it again. And when I did, I got this gut-wrenching feeling in my chest. It hurt so bad, I thought someone had reached in and just twisted my heart like that. Fast forward, I didn't realize that was the craving. That was the first time I experienced a craving. I never wanted that feeling ever again, never touched it again. How? Right? I could do it with that. Couldn't do it with alcohol. I'm like, wow. Well, fast forward, get into high school. Hey, I played a lot of sports, anything to stay out of the house. Plus, my parents were like, we ain't paying for daycare, so hey, go play sports. Okay, cool. Played sports, did other things, read a lot of books, did martial arts, stuff like that. High school, hey, still afraid of everybody and everything, but I kind of learned how to cover it up, right? And I've heard several people, sort of circus speakers, talk about this. I'm like, oh, I'm not terminally unique. Imagine that, right? The big book says I'm not terminally unique, and I hear it all around. Oh, yeah, maybe I'm not at this many years sober. And I had my little set of friends. I wasn't in the cool club kid, but I wasn't into, what was it, the burnouts? I don't know, whatever everybody judged each other to be. But I had my set of friends, and I did what I had to do to stay out of the house, because the key was do not cause any problem to mom and dad, or mom and stepdad, right? That means also fighting. That's a problem, because the only thing I know how to do is fight. Like, the only thing I'm good at is physical stuff. They said, and this I do not treat my kids this way. I allow them to come to me with anything. Of course, 3 of our children are grown. 2 of them are 30. Maybe I look younger than I am. I don't know. I've only been told once, yeah, you don't look 50. Like, oh my God, thank you. But they said, even if you start the fight, you're going to get it worse when you get home. Really? Let's just stack on all the problems I already got, man. I can't trust you guys for nothing. Well, anyway, so I'm trying to stay out of trouble, trying to stay out of anything. Never stood up for myself, because you know what? Mom and dad. And everybody knew. But they're like, hey, we can get an easy win on him. You couldn't knock me down, couldn't knock me out, but they're gonna get their little easy ego boost. I'm like, all right, whatever. But at the end of the day, I grew up with those things like I can't trust anybody. Can't look, nobody's gonna look out for me. Here's my core group of friends, in Miami, Florida. We look out for each other. People in our neighborhood look out for each other. But it is what it is. Well, I was mostly functional in '93, so I'm a senior in high school. An incident happened. It was a gang incident. I was never in a gang. That was one thing about me. I was like, look, I don't judge people who are. There were gangs on every street we had, but I said, look, I'm fine. I'll stand on my own. We were at a Denny's, my best friend and I, and he had a license. Parents would let me drive. He taught me how to drive, so I could drive him around. So he was having his fun with his girlfriend in the back. Hey, cool, I got to drive. We were sitting there in that Buick Regal, and I saw 4 vehicles roll up, and they were packed. Like, okay, this don't seem right. Something's wrong here. And before I knew it, somebody come up and sucker punched my buddy, and I said, start the car. And he went to start the car, and this is the part of the movie where it's called an aside, where the actor looks at the camera, right? I don't know why I looked up and said, really? Like there's a camera watching me, right? I don't know. But I was just like, really? And so we start getting hit. I'm like, all right, we think it's just a few people. What I learned later from the witnesses and the hospital was it was 40 people converged on 2 of us in that vehicle, right? Again, I'm pretty tough, but that's a lot of people. And so we're getting hit, and I'm just, you know, I mean, I grew up in the inner city. I'm like, yeah, we're talking trash. Yeah, whatever. Let me out, let me out. Next thing you know, something hits me and sends my head spinning. And then before I realized it, I was blind from my nose up. I could see down, but everything up was black. I was like, what the hell just happened? The door opens, and here's how big my ego was back there, how fragile, I'm sorry. I get ready to get out, and I said, oh, my God, I hope I don't have to square up against that guy. The one person who just about knocked me out. Anyway, fast forward, I get this feeling in my back that it's going to break in half. And then next thing you know, I get this feeling in my body that I'm just superhumanly strong to the point it hurts. What I learned was the back breaking was the pads, the shock pads. So if you have an opportunity to do that, pass on that. That sucked. The second thing where I got really strong was the atropine to the heart. You get an opportunity to do that, pass on that. That sucked worse. And all I could hear, I opened my eyes and everything was blind. I couldn't see nothing. I could hear everything, couldn't see nothing. And I start to try to get up, and I can't move. And I'm just like, what the hell? So, I mean, my last memory was we're being jumped and something just hit me hard. Find out later that it was a cinder block. The 50-pound gray blocks they used to build houses with, right in the side of my skull right there. So I was like, okay, my fragile ego, all right, cool. You know, wasn't no guy to knock me out. Okay. Dude, you were dead, and I was. The sound that I heard tearing was the Velcro. They had me on the ambulance, what do you call it, gurney, litter, whatever. We call it litter in the Army. And the voices I heard, it was somebody I recognized, and I started to come out, and someone said, hit him, hit him. Hit me was my last memory, right? No, hell no. And I start getting stronger, and then boom, I'm out again. What I learned years later after becoming a medic is that was when they hit me with amitriptyline and knocked me back out. Because, all right, we got him back stable, but he's about to fight his way free. Let's knock him back out. I came to, which is funny, I haven't started even drinking yet, right? You're like, dude, this dude is messed up. Yeah, I didn't even start drinking at all. Well, my cousin got me drunk once on 2 quarts, a quart of Blue Bull and a quart of Red Bull. This was long before the energy drink. They were both 99 cents a quart because we didn't have a lot of money. Disgusting. Hated it. He took me home. I know everybody was laughing because he's so hungover. Never wanted to touch it again. Isn't that amazing? Never wanted to touch it again. What happened? Well, anyway, back to the ER. I come to in the ER sitting up, and they're stitching my eyes shut, and they're stapling my head shut. And I had about a 1/4-inch dent in the side of my head. And the irony to that, and this is years later, one of my sponsors who moved away, because I've never fired a sponsor. I tried to, and he said, what are you going to do with the next guy? You shouldn't be doing me. Good point. But he said, you know what? Who knows? God had a plan, but maybe the damage in your brain was that part where that brick was going to hit you. Holy crap. Well, maybe. Because once I healed, there was no change. Nothing was wrong at all. But, excuse me, when they were doing that, I started seeing red. And as I was operating off of fear, right, that was my main emotion. Fear, some anger, right? I was coupled with fear all the time. And again, I learned this in here. Fear is the inward expression of my anxieties and insecurities and defects, right? Anger, hate, that's the outward expression. Well, I'm afraid to express it outward. I looked in the mirror and I saw red. And I said, I got to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and I looked at my body for the first time. It was almost like that Predator thing where he takes the thing off and everything's kind of red and yellow. Now, for the first time in my life, because remember, for me, drinking was just a symptom. For the first time in my life I felt hate. Whoa. You take a guy who is coupled with fear and now you introduce hate. That was crazy because now I'm strong. I'm not afraid of you. I'm going to go after you. I don't care. I mean, it was amazing, right? I didn't realize until I came into these rooms that hate is the paternal twin to fear. It comes from fear. Hate doesn't come from anger and rage. It comes from fear. I did not know that my body, spiritually, mentally, physically, was drawing all that energy out. I just knew I feel better now. Well, I had to stay home for 2 weeks from school. And in that 2 weeks, this is the crazy part, I put on about 10 pounds of muscle and grew about half an inch in 2 weeks. It would have been cool had it not been under such a weird circumstance. So now I'm going back to school with hate, still some fear, but I'm ready. I'm bigger and stronger, right? It was a scary scenario. But I made it through. Those other people, I don't know what happened to them. So I did try to find them one time. The detective found me first, and hey, you know what? It is what it is. We move on. So, again, I haven't even started really drinking, right? But I'm trying to escape from something because that's what the drinking and whatever else I could get a hold of was doing for me. The interesting thing is alcohol is my drug of choice, but really and truly, what do you got? What do you got that just takes me outside of me? I'm trying to get away from something inside of me that I can't even name, right? Well, fast forward again to the military. I don't say she got pregnant. It's not like it was a immaculate conception, right, Corky? We did it together. So, right, it takes two. Hopefully just two. But at the end of the I was not going to allow my kid to grow up without his dad. So I joined the military. I got shipped off to Germany. She says, I'm not going to come see you. I'm not going to move there. Okay. Interesting. I did all this for you and our child, and now I'm stranded in Germany. That's when it started. I was off to the races. Now I'm drinking not for fun. And in my 15 years of drinking, maybe 6 months, maybe 12 months was functional. The rest of it, I was drinking to escape. When you say 15 years in these, when I say 15 years in these rooms, if you've been around long enough, that's like rookie numbers. I mean, they're like, dude, 15 years, man. There's a guy over here who's 20 getting a 5-year K. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's not a lot. But as far as quality over quantity, within 6 months, I was knocking down a whole bottle of 151 a night. And I did not know that that was the express ticket to a seat in this room. I mean, I was trained for Special Forces selection. A bunch of us did for a year. I was 189, 190, 9% body fat. Everything looked healthy. When I finally went into that German doctor's office, I didn't want to go to the American one because I was going to get in trouble. I didn't know that. But I went in there because I couldn't eat for an entire week. I kept throwing up. I was defecating bleach white, right? The body's not supposed to do that. It's not normal. And so they checked my blood and said, Jesus Christ, dude, how old are you? I told them, 22. And like, dude, your blood work is a mess. German doctor gave me something I could finally eat. Went to the American doctor. He said, it's a 98. He says, all right, or Army doctor. He says, all right, either you volunteer and there's no punishment or we make you go and there's punishment. I said, what are you talking about, dude? I just had a bad weekend, right? Of course, I'm trying to cover it up. I had a bad year. Self-imposed, but I was trying to escape things. People break up all the time. People go through divorces. People go through all this stuff all the time. But I didn't have those tools, much less wasn't seeking them out. It didn't matter what I had. Why didn't I go look for it, right? And they said, look, you got an alcohol problem. No, I don't. That doctor was like, look, you know the German doctors, they communicate with us, right? Like, okay. And then they sent me what was effectively IOP for 6 months. Finished IOP, right? Okay, cool. Mostly white knuckling it. Got declined Special Forces selection, got sent back to the States, did that thing, went to Bosnia, did the war thing a couple times. There's alcohol everywhere. I got to tell you, we were places in that countryside, there's not a plant anywhere. And some dude would show up, like that story about the Eskimo, right? There's one story where the guy was actually, him and his buddy were going to Alaska, and they hitchhiked and got off, and there was a six-pack on the ground, like a guy's story from the big book. These dudes would walk up and say, hey, $1 American for a thing of peach brandy. And I'm looking around, I said, dude, there's not a plant for 1,000 miles. How did you make this? He's like, you don't want to know. Okay, whatever. Yeah. I think we would call that rock gut nowadays, right? Jesus. Yeah, it was bad. Got married a second time. That divorce finally finished. I married this chick, this young lady. She was half my size, drank more than I did. Match made in heaven. I'm like, man, here we go. Everybody gonna stop judging me. She drinks more than I do, right? Puts the attention off. 2 years in, hey, can't do this anymore. What do you mean you can't do this? Do what? She says, you drink too much. The person who drinks me under the table is saying, I got a drinking problem, all right? And it got me coming to these rooms to hear that and say, whoa, okay. When the people around me, especially people who drink more than I do or do more of the stuff than I do, tell me I got a problem, they're probably right. Right? In the program, it talks about people around us are going to notice the change, good and bad. It's right. Everyone around me noticed the change. And she said one thing. She started working at a bar, which I completely said, don't work at a bar. That's a bad idea. She called, and she said, I can't rely on you. Ooh, that hit me right in the stomach, right? Because at this time, I'd been teaching hand-to-hand combat, been teaching self-defense, doing a bunch of other things. I'm the guy, she had a guy that was stalking her. I'm the guy you want to call. And I'm her husband, and she calls, and I'm drunk and don't answer the phone. She said they finally pulled the wall away from her when she turned down the street to our neighborhood. And I said, oh, my God. And I couldn't, you know what, you're right. That one was one I couldn't argue. So that was a problem. At the time I got an OCS, and this is about what happened. We're going to get into step one here in a second. I got an OCS, Officer Candidate School, and I was wanting to be a pilot. Got my first DUI, and at that point they said, well, you know, I blew a .28. I'm told that's a lot. Okay, well, the sheriff actually drove by. I was like, oh. He said, I'm going to give you a field sobriety test. Nailed it. I'm going to give you this other test. Nailed it. I'm going to give you one more test. He said, you pass this test. He said, I know you're drunk. If you pass brain in and everything, I know you're drunk. If you pass this test, I will drive you home. I got this. Cool. He pulls out that pen. Follow my pen with your eyes. My eyeball hit the side and bang, bang, bang. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, what is that? I never even heard of that test, right? It must have just, nowadays I'm like, oh yeah, that happens all the time. You can't control I can't control involuntary muscles when I'm drunk or high, right? I said, oh man. He said, get in the car. Yes, sir, get in the car. Anyway, well, I messed up my opportunity to become an officer. They said, you can finish OCS or you can drop out, but you're not going to commission. Ouch. And I had a really great angel in hiding, the captain, the senior TAC, and those TACs aren't there to be your friend. They're there to teach you to be strong officers. He said, I'm going to take my hat off for a second. And he gave me some great advice. And one of those pieces of advice that says, we've been told you're kind of that guy that don't give up. Well, when it comes to me, I give up all the time. But on the outside, if I just keep trying to do good, people will leave me alone. I didn't say it to him. He says, finish the program, you never know. Your certificate of eligibility lasts for 2 years. There's no promises. I said, okay. I finished, went back to my unit at the same rank, actually a lower rank than I left. I'm like, wow, you want to talk about ego burst? And then, of course, I had to do all that stuff. I had to think on the car, all the AA meetings, all that stuff. Well, at this point, again, outside circumstances, people, placing things. I was too busy letting the outside world, allowing the outside world to drive my inside self, right? And I heard that in these rooms. My inside self is not dictated by the outside world, but at that point it was. Things had gotten so, going through another divorce, didn't get my commission, about to fail out of college. I got into college, go pre-med, right? So I wanted to be a doc. I was Army doc for 10 years, and I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. So I took a pistol that a friend gave to me for a birthday gift and put it in my mouth, and I had a moment of clarity. Y'all seen that movie Fight Club? I had just watched that movie. This is how sick my mind was. Don't shoot yourself in the mouth because you might be like that guy, you blow your jaw out. Never mind the fact that you're going to shoot yourself, dude. Wake up, right? I said, oh, no, I don't want that. I moved the barrel. Well, you don't want to shoot yourself there because you might paralyze yourself. Again, another moment of clarity, quote, air quotes for those on the audio. Well, I was pre-med. I was in my fourth year. I said, let me put it up against my head. I knew where to put it or I wouldn't lobotomize myself. Slipped the slide. I had already racked it and prepared it, pulled the trigger. And the click, and nothing happened. To this day, like, it gives me goosebumps even now. I set that thing down and I backed away, like as if it's going to jump up and I got you now. You know, no, that's not. If you're averted to weapons, that's not how they work. And I'm going to give you part of my military background only because it bears on this part of the story. I question the validity of that miracle, right? Because when I racked it, the bullet came out, had an ever so slight tick on the primer. That pistol worked exactly how it was supposed to. I sit there and thought maybe I didn't do it right, maybe I didn't do a functions check. At that point in my life, I had gotten involved in the hand-to-hand program, and I was teaching basic, advanced, and especially hand-to-hand with some really great guys. I wasn't the main guy. But one of my specialties was makeshift weapons, century takeouts, quick kills, multiple attackers. How to teach good guys to do bad things to bad people. I was pretty damn proficient in weapons. I questioned that miracle with all the facts telling me, dude, that weapon worked like it's supposed to. I put the bullet back in the chamber, went outside, shot it on the ground, first try. Here's what's interesting about people in my life can see when I'm messed up or when I'm better. My neighbor, his name was his name was Mac. That was my nickname, Mac. He was a Hell's Angel hiding out from the police, right? Nice guy to me. He says, no, his name was Buddy. He says, "You okay, Mac?" This guy's, I'm like, dude, something's wrong with Mac. I think so. I'm like, oh, okay. Holler if you need anything. Yeah, man. Just trying to kill myself, right? Well, I went about 30 days. That's kind of how my sobriety went, right? I went about 30, maybe 60 days. I ever had that feeling, maybe I made too big of a deal with that. Got to drinking again. Woe is me, pour me a little drink. The 8-step, doing the modeling gip, looking in the rear view, right? I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to do it with pills. And I took every pill in the house, drank it down with Hennessy as much as I could stomach, went to bed, said, this is it. I came to over the toilet, and with my medical experience and everything, I realized I'd been over the toilet for about 2 hours. It was just yellow. Dude, just got to kill myself, try to overdose. God, man, it took about 2 weeks to even walk. What happens? 30, 60 days. Well, I made too big of a deal of that. Then I tried to kill myself to drink myself to death. I got my drink of choice, 2 bottles, and I proceeded to kill myself drinking alcohol, to binge as much as possible. 3 times I tried to kill myself. People, places, and things. Why not seek help, right? And I've already been going to AA. Judge told me to go to AA. I'm going to AA. It's not working. I wasn't working it. All these people that work wouldn't work for me because I wasn't working it. Well, my girlfriend at the time who came, and terrible, terrible relationship. We were both so codependent. Something told her, hey, something's wrong. Managed to get into my place. She got me out of bed. My left leg was swollen about that big. And we both knew, oh my God, he's having heart failure. He's like having circulation. There's failure in his body. We got me up to the VA hospital, passed me up. I will say this, I stopped trying to kill myself. That's good. Well, like I said, I graduated OCS. 120 people graduate, 120 people try, 10 people graduate. I was number 1. Wow. And then I didn't become an officer. At that point, something inside said, just stop. Okay. I finished my college, and I'm going to AA. I'm trying to do what y'all taught me to do. I'm not necessarily sober, but I'm having periods of abstinence, because there's abstinence, sobriety, and the serenity that we always hope to get and try to get. I'm trying to do the next right thing for months, a few months at a time, and I get a call from the PA school that says, hey, you got accepted. I'm not even sober yet, but just trying to do what y'all taught me to do. Blessings start flying at me, all pun intended, right? Retired pilot. Oh, I forgot to tell my joke. You go into a room, and how can you tell if the person in there is a pilot? You don't have to. They'll tell you themselves. I wear this shirt to make fun of myself because it's a miracle. 1, I made it to flight school. It's a miracle I made it through, and it's a miracle I even retired, right? Rotary pilots, we make fun of ourselves. We call ourselves drivers. So that pilot thing, we think that's fighter pilots. But fighter pilots, like the tallest one's like 5'6", so I don't know. Must be a Napoleon thing. Anyway, I'm trying to do the next right thing. Medical school calls. I got accepted. Oh, man. Then in the parking lot, I get a phone call I was about to all right, I'm done with the military. I'm going to go full-time school. I'm not going to have time for this thing. And they said, hey, you still want to be a pilot? Shoot, yeah, I want to be a pilot. I'm damn as good. So they're like, we heard all the good things you're doing. I'm like, who's talking about what I'm doing? I mean, okay. He said, I'm too old. I was too old. He said, you got one shot. I'll be there tomorrow. 2 weeks, done. I'm going to fast forward because I want to get into the steps. But at the end of the day, I went to flight school and I worked my butt off. But on the weekends, all of us drank. I'm the one who drank to excess, right? Well, that's kind of what I did. That's what we do. It just is what it is. I got a job here in Alabama. I'm not from here. And I got a job working out at the aviation facility out there. I'm active duty again, lieutenant, important job, flying my butt off, working my butt off. But if I was on the flight schedule Friday or Saturday, I'm already drinking on the way home. God, dude. Things are finally lining up the way I always hoped to, and I'm burning it to the ground. 2009, I'm blackout driving. That was scary. And I got picked up by the police in Florida, of all places, where I'm from. And my boss came to bail me out. Boy, that was embarrassing. I couldn't hide it anymore. I mean, they knew, right? They always know. So I had to get on the carpet. Yep, not going to do that again. And so that wasn't enough. 2010 rolls around. They say, no, you need to go to treatment. And I said, well, I'm already going to AA. He said, it's not working fast enough. I was like, oh, God. That was like my trump card. I'm good. I got AA. Oh, no. It ain't working fast enough. Treatment worked great for me. I needed that. It's not a requirement in here, much less relapse is not a requirement. But it worked for me. I came back with a newfound enthusiasm. The military says, look, you're going to be on a 5-year tail. Meetings, probation, random piss tests, all this stuff. Not just here, active duty, since you're a pilot, Fort Rucker's going to call you randomly, which is almost 2 hours away. And when they call, you better be there. Oh, crap. Well, you know what? That first 2 years, my employer worked me like a mule. And with all the stuff I had to do, that was probably the best 2 years of my life because it made me get out of my own self and get out of my own way. That's what saved my life. You guys, my God program, you people got me out of my own way. I'm just going to jump right to the last one. I've been married this time. I've been with the same woman for 16 years. Been the longest period of sobriety. There may be some coincidence, not a coincidence, might be something going on with that. I mean, I don't know. But I made it through that 5-year tail. By the time I had done the 2 years, this was like, man, this is a way of living. This ain't punishment. These guys are giving me a chance to get right. My unit that I was going to deploy with, I hadn't deployed in 10 years. I said, I need to go do that job. That's what I'm supposed to do. They went off and did good things, came back. They wanted me to come back. And I was like, well, okay. And then the job that I was reassigned to, the mule job, right? Do everything we tell you to do. They said, we want you to hire for this other job with us. I'm like, oh, wow. Doing the next right thing, doing what y'all told me to do, that's what made these things happen, not me. When I got out of my own way, things work out much better. Oh, man, I got to tell you, this has been amazing. I did drink 2 more times because the first time I walked in here in those rooms in 2008, my sobriety day is 2012, so I didn't struggle from 98 to 08 because to struggle, you have to actually be trying. But from 03 to 08, 03 to 08, I was trying and struggling with step 1. Then I was in there, and now we're into the steps. This is what happened, right? Now I'm in the program. Miss Peggy over here, those of you know her, 4'10", weighs 90 pounds, had this amazing angelic strength. I'm trying to leave the room after the meeting, right? Because I'm still sweating to death. And she grabs my hand. I was like, at the time I'm 6'3", just how can I not? I can't get away, right? She would talk to me, Mr. Bill, Mr. Wayne, Mr. Benz. Some of them are passed on now. They wrapped their arms around me and said, "Look, man, you ain't got to go that way no more." And I was like, wow. For the first time in forever. I mean, for the first time outside of my military brethren, I found a place to be safe. So after that last time going back out, I was working. I was doing the steps, getting after it, and then what did I do? I started stalling. So what happens on the steps? Well, step 1, that was I won't say step 1 was easy, because I won't say any of the steps are easy. Now, they are indeed simple, but they're not easy. But once I get to doing them, well, hell, it's not that hard either. Just do it. One of my sponsors says, hey, you know what that little tick mark is between those 2 parts of the first step? It looks like a hyphen. I don't know. I mean, he's still in these rooms, circuit speaker. little short Jewish guy. You probably heard of him. I'm not going to say his name, but great dude. He was Special Forces. I was recruited and accepted, but we had a great, man, such a good sponsor. He said that tick mark connects two thoughts. If one thought is true, so is the other. I said, oh. He took any argument. That first sponsor I had for 2 years, half my age, had nothing in common. But boy, he had it. Got a year and a half with this one, went back out with that one, went back out again. And then he said, don't sponsor yourself. And that's good advice. I didn't take it. Right? I married my third wife, an ex-stripper, for 3 years. She pursued me for 4 months, spent all her own money. I'm like, all right, maybe there's something to it. Yeah, when they say don't get into a relationship in the first 12 months, that's good advice. If you want to hear what not to do, just come talk to me. Hey, is this a good thing to do? If I tell you no, that's experience, strength, and hope. It means I've done it. It does not work. My current sponsor, we have almost the same amount of time, but man, dude is smart. I respect him. And when he was in here, he was just on fire. I said, would you be my sponsor? We didn't know each other's sobriety, didn't care. This dude had something I wanted. And I got after it, man. And so that's step one. At one point or another, one or both are going to be true for me. And of course, the principle being honesty. Step two, hope. I needed some hope. I'd heard somewhere along the way the most powerful emotion is hope. It's not love. It's not anger. I was very familiar with anger, hate, and rage. It's not. It's hope. When someone gets a piece of hope, it's like this magic energy that just comes up. It's amazing. And hope is great because I always say 1, 2, 3 was for me. Y'all, that's that lifeline. I'm in that little lifeboat. You guys are in the big one over here, and that's that lifeline to say, hey, guys, come on. Come on, man. Come with us. We got you. You guys wrapped around me. Well, what I learned in water survival and drown proofing in the military, in addition to other things, is when you're by yourself floating in the ocean or any body of water, those waves are going to beat you to death. But when you tie off to something or other people, it's just like riding a ride. I said, man, that's amazing. That's what that 1, 2, 3 was. It was for me. You guys were reintroducing me to my higher power. I don't believe you can sever your spiritual connection because my higher power is God, which I call God, but I believe I can dirty it up, right? Because he created me. So I can't sever that, but I can dirty that connection up. And back in the day, my grandma had that little lime green phone that, I don't know why lime green was so popular back then, with that 20-foot cord, right? I'd get on there. I grew up before the internet and cell phones, in case y'all didn't figure that out. I sometimes get on there and trying to talk, can't hear. Hey, Grandma, the phone's not working. She'd look down, take the thing off, take a toothpick, clean the holes, put it back on. Phone's working fine. The tool I was using was not working. That wrapped right into step 3. Can you believe a power greater than self worth standing? I don't know what sanity is, but I know what insanity was. I want to know more of it. And every day I wanted to pursue the opposite of insanity. Made decisions, turned wheels out, was cared to God, we understood him. I was afraid to. I thought God wanted nothing more to do with me. Because the two things that my higher power gives me, and it says it in the good book, is life and free will. I chose to get both of those back 3 times, quickly, and then many years slowly. You guys said, look, and this was a Special Forces chaplain years ago. I wasn't even sober yet. And if you know anything about Special Forces, there's no such thing as Special Forces chaplain. He was Special Forces first, doing that job. Then he got the call to divinity. And he said, don't you have kids? I said, yeah. Would you ever want your children never to come to you no matter what they did? I said, no. He said, I'll see you next week. I said, oh my God. I was in here 15 years later, and that memory came back because you guys were wrapping around me, showing me, look, God's a big boy. You can't, he wants you to come back to him. Like, okay, fair enough. Oh, step 4, searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. What an order. Oh, boy. That was, don't stall on that one. I did. Went back out. It's not that difficult. Whether you subscribe to the 3 columns, the 4 columns, the 5 columns, whatever. There's no wrong way to do steps, right? Just do them. I waffled on 4. It's so easy. Step 1 through 3 was easy. How did all these people piss you off? Man, I was like, yeah, screw that person. Yeah, screw that person. Then we got to the 4th part. What do you want to call it? The 4th column, the 4th part, whatever. What's my part in it? You could hear the brakes. I'm like, whoa. What do you mean my part? I was having a good time here. Uh-oh. Okay. And then the fifth part, whether it's fifth column, whatever you want to call it, 65, 67, 67 to 69 is mentioned twice. It's the definitive part of the step. Well, what would God have of me? Once I finally could see to my innermost self that this is what I need to do, things worked, got better. 5, no problem. Now, where I come from, we don't tell on each other. We don't tell on you. We don't talk, right? In the city, we don't talk, no. But I had to get all that stuff off my chest. Even the things I was trying to wait to I'm going to my deathbed. You got anything else? It's like this sponsor handbook that goes around, right? I never got one. I'm a sponsor. I'm like, but we always know, hey, you're holding something back. Get it all out. I learned years later watching this show, Hoarders? They keep all that junk in the house, right? My wife's kind of a hoarder. Bugs me to death, but not to death, but it bugs me. Same problem. In my spiritual house, spiritual, emotional, however, I filled it up with all this stuff. With all the things I was doing, my character defects, letting them out, right? And shortcomings. You guys helped me clean it out. Then you said, hey, you keep working the steps, we're going to get you a new house down the road. What? So not by myself, you guys helped me. 6 and 7, you hear people say it all the time. I say it too. You got to live in 6 and 7. Willingness and humility. If I stick with willingness, stick and try to be humble as I can, at least say, Lord, take this from me. Things are going to work out. 8, brotherly love. Take that list of persons we had harmed. That's the 4th step. And I've added a few more over time. That's the part that says don't go into modeling guilt, right? Don't dwell on it. The big book says just go back to it, look at it, tweak your list. Here we go. My sponsor did like many other sponsors. All right, here's the ones that are you're willing and able, willing and unable, unwilling and unable. I want to put a whole bunch of them in that last column. Unwilling and unable. He's like, no. We're going to move over here. He helped me through that, put them in an order that made sense, kind of helped me get started and just dropped me in the deep end. And then I went out there and started making those amends, To me, every amends is a living amends. It just depends on whether it starts as a direct amends. I've had living amends that turned into direct amends later. Those suck. Whoa. Particularly to my wife. Wow. But you know what? 9 steps says don't shy away, and I didn't. So when these things crop up, you know what? Here it is. Boom. What do you need me to do to make this right? And she gives me a list of things, and I do it. Same thing everywhere in my life. 10, perseverance. Continue. That's the key today. I have to keep doing the stuff y'all taught me to do. There's a 10-step worksheet out there. You can Google all kinds of resources. I like this worksheet because I get to do it. I do a full 10-step once a week, but I update it every single night because the 10-step and 11-step require me to look at it every night, right? Short-term ones that I can knock off, I need to knock those off quick because eating crow when it's warm is a lot easier. Eating when it's cold is a lot harder. It's like the McDonald's fries, right? They're never good when they get cold. You can't heat those back up. They suck, right? I got to get there and make that happen. The 11th step, there's different debates. The 11th step is the inventory. Who cares, dude? Inventory, pray on it that night, pray on it the next day. Just like I said before, the only way I can mess up is don't do it, right? 12, spirituality. 12, having a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message. I try to carry it everywhere I go. What happens today? I have a very active prayer life. And I'm sorry I'm going a little bit long. When I first came in, I thought prayer was mostly theoretical. After I started praying, I never said that, except as an example, because I have seen incredible things happen as a result of prayer. So what do? I pray about 7 times a day, every 3 hours. I do prayer meditations. I do something every 3 hours that's AA related, sometimes other stuff related, and my personal choice of the good book related, because those tie together. And throughout the day, I'm continuing to do that. I read the big book every day. Someone said read 2 pages a day. Well, pretty good advice. Why is that? Because you read the whole thing in a year. Cool. I started reading 12 and 12 every day. Well, if that works for that, let me try it for this. Started chairing meetings. I've had a lot of things happen in sobriety. We have health scares, multiple health scares. I've got a tumor in my abdomen right now. It's benign, but I've got about 20 pounds of fluid on me. It makes me pretty frustrated, right? Got 50 years old, got this big old beer belly. I wasn't even a beer drinker. What the hell, man? I hated beer. 40 OE every now and then. But come on now, God, dude. But God just hits me with that pride thing, knocks it out, just says, look, man, what's the best thing I can do today? I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing to stay sober, but I know what I'm going to do. I don't know what it's going to take, but by God, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to keep doing everything y'all taught me to do. And if I'm lucky, I'll make it to the end of the night and tomorrow. And at my place now in my life, you know, my health, there's other issues going on, those don't matter. If I'm alive today, I had an old crusty infantry sergeant, and we were getting shot at that particular day. But I'd get up and say, hey, morning, Sergeant, like that movie, We Were Soldiers. Morning, Sergeant Major, what kind of damn morning you thinking, right? He was that kind of guy, right? I said, morning, Sergeant. He's like, I said, how you doing today? He said, hey, I'm alive today. Everything else is a bonus. I was too young to understand how profound that statement was. And then years later, I was just like, wow. If I wake up alive today, I have another chance to go 24 hours. And with that, I'm done.
Thank you very much, Shathar. Appreciate your words of wisdom and experience. I guess they kind of run together sometimes. Well, again, I thank everybody for coming. I think we had a good meeting. It's good to see the room full. We're going to do the same thing again next month, which is on the 3rd of May, and we'll have another. I'll give you a little heads up. I think I'm going to get Greg Deppman to come speak, but I hadn't talked to him yet. But anyway, we'll have a good speaker, whoever it is. Again, appreciate y'all coming. And we're going to close by saying that anonymity is the Spirit's foundation. By all our traditions, every man has placed principles before personalities. And then we'll, the best way you can, circle up and say the Lord's Prayer if you want to.
Good job, bro. See you, brother. Congratulations.
All right. Sandra, who brought us here? Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Keep coming back. It works if you're working. All right.
Good to see you.